So, introducing our introduction to investing, like I said, I have my little notes here because I want to make sure that I don't get off track. But I hope you were able to get the 16personalities.com, and I would love to hear what your outcome was and what is your personality. And I bet you can guess what mine is. If you can guess what mine is, Raven and I will send you something super special from our two peas in apothecary. So I can't tell you what it is. Go ahead and email me at branding@passionisAbusiness.com and tell me what you think my personality was. All right, let's continue. So we are going to continue with the introduction to investing, and I really want you to understand what is investing and what types of investors there are and all the different types of not just monetary. If you've ever seen a commercial or if you've ever seen the show for Shark Tank, you know that they are really, really sharp when they go there and they have their numbers on check and they have everything that they need because the investors are basically asking like, why should I give you money? Tell me. So basically, the introduction to this is going to lead further into the business plan, which we're going to discuss. I actually call it the beautiful plan, and we're going to walk through it. I'm going to have a video just for the beautiful plan, which is in a PDF in the library. So look out for that because we are going to be doing the beautiful plan. But I want to go over I want to go ahead and go over what the types of investing it is because I feel that people kind of confuse what investing in, and sometimes they think it's only investing for the monetary. There's resources, there's access to things, there's opportunities. It's a plethora of things. So let's go down it because I want you to try to understand throughout this process what kind of investors you need because this is why we're here to help you. The first one would be partners or joint ventures. These are people that might be not only a partner in your business, but they can be also partners for a specific product or service. And I'll explain. Sometimes you might not want someone in your business. You want just to have your business the way it is, but sometimes depending on the product or service, you might have a joint venture with them and you might partner with them so that profits are split, investments are split, and you don't feel the weight and you have help. We've actually done this in our apothecary for a certain product, and we're so happy we did it because not only they bring their expertise, it was able for us to push us to get into the grocery stores, which we are at, and I cannot wait to tell you what else we're bringing in the apothecary. But my point is that when you bring in certain people, they will put in the certain profits. They will split the profits, but they will also put in some of the investments as well so you don't feel it. That is another way in investing, an investor as well. Grants. There's so many different grants. There's city, state, county, government. There's so many. And no, a grant, you do not have to pay it back. However, there is things that people don't tell you. You know me, I'm going to keep it real. Grants, you do have to go ahead and at the end of the year for your taxes and let them know that you did receive a grant for whatever the case is. When we did La Sewing Cafe, there was a small grant that we got, a local grant, because a lot of people don't know that cities and states and counties, they want small businesses to help back and feedback in the community. So the goal is not always needing to have your business at a standstill store. You can be an online business, but as long as you have a standstill presence, write that down. You can be an online store or brand or whatever, an artist, creative, but as long as you have a standstill presence in the community, they are more likely to give you some funds because they know that it's going to come back into the community. And of course, local people are going to purchase from you. We will get into that depending on what state and city and county and all that. This is why Thursdays are our main days. So if you have any questions or you need anything, you can contact us. The next one is board of advisors, shareholders, really huge in larger companies, but what people don't know is that they have them in smaller companies as well. At one point, I was working with a brand that actually had a couple shareholders, and they were from different industries because they wanted to be a part of it for the advertising standpoint of view. So if you are targeting an elite type of customer of some sort, you have to think about what they like to do and think of their lifestyle, and you can actually joint venture and partner up and have shareholders. Shareholders don't necessarily want to be in the business, and 99% of the time they don't. They'll just give you money or they'll just give you resources and they say, give me profits or let me know what's going on, but I don't want to necessarily be in it. And If you know anything about the stock market, then you know about shareholders. And we're going to get into all of these in specific when we do our budgeting, which I will highlight. So this entire month is all about the money. Gifts. So there's lots of people out there that give monetary gifts, and you'll be surprised. Yes, GoFundMe is a huge one that people know. They can gift for your products or your services or your dreams, but there's other ways of monetary that people have gifts. There's an amazing website actually for creatives, which is on a residual platform where they give you money every single month to do what you love to do. You want to know what that is, huh? I know you do. But I'm going to tell you not yet. I don't want to just give you the easy button, because life is not about the easy button. Life is not just about, okay, here's the contact. If you don't know what to do with that contact, then it will make no sense. And that's why you're in this class, because you want to be able to learn different ways and not just have one way. The next thing I want to talk about is everyone wants to know, who is the right investor for me and when am I ready for my investing? We're going to go over the business plan right now, because the business plan is going to take some time where I need your attention. So after I finish what I want to say, I want you to go get it in the library, the business plan. We're going to go through it. Fine tooth comb that, and I don't call it the business plan, I call it the beautiful plan, because it will change. I repeat, it will change. 2017, I think I changed it like six times. 6 times, because I met my marks earlier than before, and I had to change things based on what my results were. So this beautiful plan will change, but we want to be able to have the base of it. And I'll give you great resources. Once you have the base on it, we will get someone too. Don't worry, I got you. So, but before we get into the beautiful plan, I want to talk about when you think you will be ready and how do you know you will be ready. When we do our budgets, you're going to see exactly what type of investor you need right now. Right now, you might need access to this, access to this, access to this. And right now, I want you to write it down. Right now, write it down on your brainstorm paper. What are the 5 things you need in your business? 5 things that you need in your business that's not monetary. 5 things. So I'll share with you. For one of them, for us, is a fulfillment center. I think that we will be very soon needing a fulfillment center on possibly on the West Coast. So we might need that. And it has nothing to do with money. We're talking, again, 5 things that has nothing to do with money, but it is fulfillment. It is an investment. You need something for your business to grow and run. So for us, one of them is a fulfillment. Whatever that is, we're going to go through that list in the next video when we get to budgets after the beautiful plan. Because what we're going to do is start putting seeds in so that you can start bringing this together. Be patient, because I know most of you wanted to come and Beauty in the Brains before investors or investing, but I just gave you a list of all types of investors and investing. It's not just monetary. And if you're only thinking of monetary when we do budgets, you're going to understand why sometimes your business is at where it's at, because maybe you're not understanding how the monetary. I also want you to write this down. Credit is super important. So it's going to get a little uncomfortable in the next couple videos, because we're going to be digging into something that's the heartbeat of your business, financials. So you can stop this video now. You can go ahead and go to the library and pick out the PDF that says a beautiful plan, because we are going to go ahead and go over that now. Go get it, go get it. Oh, you can get a cup of water, Hey, you guys, so I hope you have your beautiful plan, because we are going to go ahead and review it now. So if you pull it up, and I'm actually looking at the document from the computer, so I am still looking at you. But so I want you to see that this is beautiful plan. The first thing I want you to think about, and we're going to go through the whole thing from start to finish, because I think you're going to have a lot of questions, and this is probably one of the most important, besides the financial part, this is one of the most important parts of this entire Beauty in the Brains, because this is the meat and potatoes of your business. a lot of people ask me, or I've always asked them, so can I see your business plan? And they're like, I don't really have it. Or sometimes it's like a one pager and it's not in detail. This beautiful plan is created for you to put all of your information, and then later on you can transfer it into a business plan document that is that investors or other people that might want to see, or even yourself. Like I said, I edit my business plan or my beautiful plan many times, and I reference it throughout the year. And the reason for that is because sometimes things change and you might need to change the way that you're either marketing, or your target market changes, or your product changes. And it's okay. This document is not meant to be for ever, like still the same. Another reason is that we spoke about investors. Lots of investors, even if it's a shareholder, even if it's an event that you're doing, a fashion event, or maybe it's you're going to be doing something on commission, or whatever the case is, sometimes they might say, hey, do you have a business plan by the chance? Because they want to see sometimes where you're going with your business. Or if you offer and say, hey, I can send you my business plan so you can understand the little bit more broader aspect of my brand or my creative business. So an additional resource is bplans.com and liveplan.com. Again, we don't get any kickbacks for any of these references. We don't. These are just things that we absolutely love, and they're so easy to read. So when you finish this entire document, you can literally take your information from here and put it into the bplans or liveplan, and they can actually even do it for you. And the reason why it's going to be a little bit more structured, so right now we're just putting all the information, the most important information, we're digging, we're brainstorming, we're really trying to capture what your beautiful plan is all about. And so bplans and liveplan.com, what it does is now it puts it into a document where an investor can read, or someone else that's external from your business. Write this down. Your beautiful plan is supposed to tell the other person or whoever what your brand is about and where your brand is going without even knowing you. That means that when someone reads it, they shouldn't have any questions. I'll give you an example about an investor that I had for La Swain Cafe, that he was going to be investing in my business. And this is when I'll talk about budget basics of really understanding your numbers and knowing if you even really need an investor sometimes. Long story short, we were going to franchise La Swain Cafe at one point, and it was a very tedious process of even trying to get all the information in. But what was really great, of everything that we had, our business plan was solid. I mean, it really had some incredible details to let the investor know exactly what we wanted and how we wanted. And it was really important because just by looking at the first 3 pages, he was able to see who our customer was, and also he was able to see like there's a market for it. And that's exactly what you want to do when you read your business plan. You want to be able to say, or your beautiful plan. So if I say beautiful plan, it's because I mean it's a beautiful plan. It's growing, that's why. But you're supposed to actually see exactly what your business is going to be about and where it's heading and where it's going. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. And we're going to start with the por qué. I put there, but seriously, why? You know, starting any business is easier said than done. Everybody knows that even if you've been in business for X amount of years, being a creative business is actually pretty tricky. And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because, like I said, at the end of the day, you can make this all beautiful and fluff, but this is a plan for it to work. It's kind of like a roadmap. It's kind of like that book, Dear God, Are We There Yet? We have all these different paths on a road, and you can make it all beautiful and fluffy. You can put flowers on the side. You can make it great, but at the end of the day, you want to accomplish these things. So you can't remember not to put in the most important details, but also you can't forget that you have to actually do the action of these, because you don't want to say, all right, well, I'm going to have 20, we want to have 20 retail stores, or I want to have 20 studios in the next 12 months, and you don't even have a website. Not to say it's not possible, but you have to remember, you have to be very realistic. Now, and I want you to write this down too. It takes a 2 solid years, minimum of 2 solid years with numbers consistently for your business to start off. I repeat, it takes 2 solid years. In the business of restaurants, it's 1 year, 12 months. Solid business for 12 months, you know you're going to make it. For any creative business, it's about 2 years. And sometimes it can be a little bit more. What I mean by 2 years, it's that solid consistency. Consistency is key, meaning X amount of sales every single month for 24 months. Now, you might be doing it for 3 years and you don't start until the fourth year that you start seeing profit. And then your fourth and fifth year, you're like, ooh, it's okay. Business is not a race. It is a marathon. It takes time. And the reason why it takes time, because everything around us changes. Society changes, technology changes, consumer behavior changes. All these things change. And so you have to keep in mind that your business needs to be able to flow with that change. So we're going to go in and talk about the why. Really, why are you? What's your passion? What makes you jump out of the bed in the morning? What are you willing to sacrifice to make this happen? And most importantly, how long would you want to sacrifice? These are things that you literally want to write down and be serious and truthful to yourself. The notebook that you've gotten, I want you to take the notebook. You can actually print these out, but they're about 71 pages. So it would be really good if you could save the environment, and you can actually, that's why the book, you can actually put this on there and be realistic to yourself. What's passionate for you? And you can't just say, oh, well, there's other aspects of your brand that you probably are really passionate about. I'll give you an example. I absolutely love fashion. It's something that it's embedded. I've been doing it so long that even after Favela Designs wholesale, this year we will be starting a kids collection, and I'm giggly and happy inside because I love kids and I love fashion. And when I started Lost Wayne Cafe long ago, that's exactly what I was able to marriage two things that I wanted. And it's like, why can't I do everything that I love and marriage it together? We have Two Peas in Apothecary, and I love food. Like, if you don't know me, I love food. And being able to create these spices and mix these spices with different flavors and different things from different countries, it's my happiness. So you have to do what you love, and you have to have passion with it, because what happens is if you're just thinking, well, this is what I love and it won't make any money from it, you're wrong, because there's an industry for everything. So this is why we're writing all this down, and I want you to really, really keep this document and do this document. You have this whole month is all about doing all of these assignments, because it's giving you time to get organized, to get ready for the months to come. So when we are on content and communication, or we're on, automation, whatever the case is, I'm going to tell you, refer back to this, and you're going to have the answer, because you're going to be ready to go, and you're going to know what your marketing is. You're going to know what your sequences are. You're going to know what your automation needs to look like. So trust the process is all I can say. So why am I doing this? Why am I doing or starting this business? Write it down. Why? Why do you want to start this business? So I'll give you an example of our Two Peas in Apothecary, because I want to be able to give you lots of hand examples of a creative business like ours. We come from our culture, everything is like remedies, is natural this and tea this, and there's always something natural for whatever, if you're sick or if you need something or whatever. It's embedded in our culture. But besides that, we love the whole vintage inspired and having that one-on-one and creating organic, authentic products for people. And so, when we started this Teas and Spices, we love food and we love to travel. We want to be able to also bring that element, but also the healthy factor. And a lot of our spices, actually 99% of our spices is salt-free, which is a major thing, because guess what? There's not a lot of products on the shelf that is salt-free. And what happens is salt is not super bad. It's just that a lot of it can really be a detriment to your health. And we saw that in so many things in your health, from cancer or high blood pressure or, just so many different things. And there's a need that people want to eat well. They want to eat healthy. They want to have these amazing flavors, but they don't want to think about, oh my God, I'm eating this and it's not really that great for me. We wanted to create products that will, support that healthy living lifestyle. And so that's why our teas and our herbal teas and our spices are things that are essential to what's important to us and what we put in our mouth. And because we live that way, we have our cups of teas and we love to cook and we love to travel and explore new flavors. And so we wanted to bring that into Two Peas in Apothecary. In addition to handmade products like art, essential artisan arts, because we know there's our target market. People love to travel and they love to have new things in their home that they can say, hey, I had this artist made it, or I got this, doll for my daughter that's handmade, or whatever the case is. there's a target market out there for us. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to dominate the market within our own handmade, vintage, inspired, gift, specialty. We wanted to do something unique. So, we're starting this business, or we started this business for many possible reasons, not just for my background or my wife's background, but many reasons. But it all embedded in our passions. And one of mine was, being creative, being in the business world and always being on. Sometimes your creative side can just take a backseat at times. And this is why Beauty in Their Brains is existing, because you don't have to take a backseat. If you have balance between the beauty of the part of your creative side and the brains, which is the business side, you definitely have a balance of love into your brand that it will succeed. So starting why you wanted to start is what is your why? Why do you want to start? Why do you want to keep building this? Where do you want to go? What will it mean to you? What will it mean to your family, your future? I mean, every time we think about the apothecary, we always talk about our children, because we definitely want to have a family. And we always think of, our children will be able to have this legacy. We recently moved to the Midwest, and a major thing, this is why I say that everything happens for a reason. And I'm telling you, if you trust the process, you will. We always wanted to have land, and we always wanted to have a home, but we always wanted to have land, because land is important, where you can grow things and you can create your own little sanctuary. And literally the universe put everything into our hands based on our why, and based on our purpose, and based on the reason why we do what we do. And so we have these beautiful acres of land, that we have a vineyard, that we're going to be doing wine in the next couple of years. And we have everything that is going to be filtering into our business of our why, and what it means to us, and being able to be free and self-sustainable and grow our foods and be able to pour and help that to other people through mind, body, and soul. So although it's just not just a product, it's more beyond that, and it's that connection. And this is why what will mean to you, and who will you help, and why this person specifically, like why? I want you to think about the big picture and thinking big. So in the first section below, if you go down, you're going to go all out, and I want you to doodle, write, scribble, and go. I want you to take some time right now. We're going to stop this video, and I want you to go ahead, and I want you to draw, doodle. I want you to see the vision. And it's so funny because I wish we kept that board. It was a vision board that we did when we were in Florida, and I was visiting in Florida, and we did a vision board, and I think we just did it because it was like we had a whole bunch of magazines and we just wanted to do it. We were putting some thought into it. We were just putting things together. And it's so crazy that I wish I had the board, because I don't know if I even took a picture of it. But everything on that board, we did. And we're doing, and it's been granted to us because we have been aligning ourselves to be completely patient in our business, and being able to be authentic, and being able to say, you know what, I'm going to stick to the core. In this beautiful plan, you will notice that you will have everything that you want to do. And then there's going to be elements coming out of nowhere that you can feel that's going to get you there quicker. But you have to be patient, because if it doesn't align with what you wrote on your why, don't do it. So many different times in the fashion industry, I've had people who are like, well, if you just, do some couture, do bridal, or do something that I didn't design, you could be on this platform, we can sell you in this. And that was not my niche. I wasn't going to just make something just because it was in. And I stuck to exactly what was resort. And from when I started, I stuck to resort wear all the way. And it was because that was what I liked, and that's what I knew, and that's what I felt comfortable, and that was my passion, was resort wear. It wasn't bridal, and there's nothing wrong with bridal, but it wasn't bridal. It wasn't anything else. I mean, yeah, I could do swimwear line for sure, but it wasn't denim. It wasn't, separates. It wasn't ready to wear when it comes to certain things. Like that wasn't me. So yes, my race would have probably taken a little longer, which it did, especially to get my wholesalers. But guess what? I stuck to my why. Take this time right now, and I want you to write it and stick to your why. So I hope that you wrote your why. We're going to move on to what industry is your type of business in. This is super important. And there's two spectrums. Like, I've come from the fashion industry, straight up fashion industry, garment industry. Then even I moved into retail, retail shop, when I mean Talasso and Cafe was more like a servicing. And of course, we have our online two-piece and apothecary, which is really grocery slash specialty, completely different industry. You gotta know your industry. And you have to be a subject matter expert in understanding those resources. When I was in college, our professor, I will never forget when I was doing my first degree in the associates in fashion merchandising. First thing he did when he came into the door, he's like, every single one of you should be a subscriber to WWD, Women's Wear Daily. I was like, what? Looked at the price. I'm in college, remember? Hello. Looked at the price and I was like, he's serious? He wants me to pay over $100. Oh, mind you, I get a student discount. Woohoo. I said, you know what? I'm going to invest in this because there's a reason why he's telling us to pay attention to WWD Women's Wear Daily, which is a major magazine and website. He's telling us, there's a reason why he's telling us this. He never really referenced the books per se. He always referenced WWD. Of course, he had a lot of contacts and he worked in, the fashion industry many years. Love him to death. Oh my God, the best professor ever. Learned so much. But he was already starting to give me and everyone, all the class mates, real life experience. I subscribed to WWD. I said, okay, I think it was $89 and it was a discounted for students. When I first opened WWD, and it was like, I remember because it was actually mailed to my dormitory because I didn't have the access of online. Again, back in the day, I look good for my age, I know. I opened it up. I didn't understand anything was going on. I was just like, oh, they're talking about Macy's. Oh, they're talking about, I knew the names of everything they were talking about. I just didn't know. I'm like, oh, this designer. I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know what the runway side, the bun business, I didn't know. I was just looking at all the pretty and I was like, this is a waste of money, right? I gave it a chance. Second month came. I said, you know what? Let me go start going to Googling this and seeing what are they talking about. Little thing you know, within 6 months, I was on top of my game and understanding front to back what this WWD was. I was understanding this was a source for my industry, and as long as I knew what was going on and I knew the business side, the runway side, the designer side, the news, the ads, the joint ventures, once I became that world, I started to look at fashion completely different. Everything changed. Everything. I started to understand another side besides just the fluff and the shopping and the consumer side. Every time I went to the mall, every time I saw a display, I looked at it completely different. What industry is your type of business in? You really need to know your industry. You need to know what the stock market looks like in the industry. You need to know who the big players are, who the medium-sized players, who are the small players are. Where's the industry going? If you don't know where your industry is, you don't know how to capitalize on that industry. And as a matter of fact, you know what not to do in the industry. And I'll give you an example. Don't be afraid to think big or outside the box. Even if you think it, I want you to start writing it down. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about a really amazing opportunity when I worked in corporate America. Many of you don't know, but I've actually worked for ESPN, one of the largest worldwide leaders in sports, right? That's exactly what their logo says. And I worked in the business, in the commercial operations and negotiating with the big players of Nike, Reebok, and you name it, Coors Light, all the big shots of how to get their placements for their commercials, etc., in their magazines. And at first I started an internship because I didn't want to necessarily do a fashion internship. Hear me out. So in this WWD sourcing magazine, they talked a lot about entertainment and how a lot of designers back then were doing a lot of things with entertainment, and they were endorsing and doing collections like athleticism collections, and they were just doing a lot of stuff with entertainment. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do an internship with just an internship. This is actually a second internship. So I actually ended up doing a fashion internship, but it was a fashion forecasting company, which we'll get into. So I ended up doing that before I got hired. And I said, I'm going to see what I really want to understand this industry, because if you look at the numbers, besides fashion, entertainment is like way up there. And out of that entertainment, sports is like, whoa. I'll ask you this. How much do you think a quarterback makes? How much do you think a linebacker makes? Not that I know anything about football, but I'm just giving you an example. Sports is a huge entertainment part of that industry. Sports is huge. I wanted to go inside the sports and to see how it all worked. How did these people maneuver? How did they do their business? So I started this internship and I freaking loved it. I mean, I was in the boondocks of Connecticut, in Bristol, Connecticut, which is the home base. So I know I would go every single weekend to New York City because I just felt like I needed, the city life or whatever. But I really loved that internship. But what I loved about it was understanding how the industry worked from the worldwide leader in the sports, which is ESPN. I understood how they were so passionate about and they're getting their consumers to watch, how they advertised, how they spoke to their customers, how if they launched anything, from a cell phone and it flopped, how they still were able to recover from their magazine sales to their online subscriptions, and the list goes on. I was able to see fashion now from the other side. And how I would see Nike, display these fashion designers that would be doing joint collections with them that, inspired by maybe the Super Bowl. I was learning negotiations in different languages in different countries. I was able now to take back a seat and see business in a totally different light. Understanding what business industry you're in is super important. And I want you to take this time, the beauty and the brains time. I want you to go ahead and brainstorm. I want you to write about your industry. What you notice about the industry, who do you think is coming and filtering in your industry? And if it's fashion, I want you to go a step further and think about all the elements in fashion. If it's a creative business like art or painting, or you sing, or you're an entertainment, or you're a writer, these are all creatives. Who are the major players in it? And what's happening? What's coming up new? What can be coming in the future? So I want you to take this time to go ahead and write exactly what you think about your industry. And I also want you to write some things that you might want to research in your industry. Write this down. I want you to put a research, and I want you to underline it, and then the questions that you want to put as well. This is for you to do some research on your own and be a part of that industry. And whatever the elements of the knowledge you need to get that industry information, you need to do it. So again, I'm not advocating for WWD either. I don't get any kickbacks, but I'm telling you, if you're in the fashion industry and you don't know what's going on in the industry, shame on you, because everything is not surface layer and not everything is on social media. You have to dig deeper into the numbers, into the industry in itself, from the cotton, when the cotton is going up. If you notice when clothes are certain or things happen, you have to know where it comes from. If cotton goes up, guess what? Everything else is going to go up. If there's a scarce for it, it's going to go up. If something happens in politics, it's going to go. So I'm not saying to focus so much on that. I'm just saying you need to be aware. So go ahead and write that down, and then we're going to go into simmer it and summarize it. Okay, so we're back. Simmer and summarize it. I want you to organize your thoughts, and I want you to answer the questions below. When you're thinking about these questions, this is a really long questionnaire. You have to be honest with yourself. I'll never forget going through with a client, and we were going through a couple of questions, and he was answering the questions. He was totally answering the questions, but I didn't feel that they were authentic. And it's only because his response and his delay. So then I asked the question again in a different format, and it was completely different. And I said, well, why didn't we write this down? Because he didn't think that it was valid enough, or it was fun enough, or if it was cool enough, or if it was, and I said, what? I proceeded to write another list of all the opportunities based on everything that he loves and everything that he can do in his business. He was silent. He couldn't believe it. You have to believe in yourself, and remember that if you're not honest with yourself and your truth when it comes to the budget babe that we're going to talk about, when it comes to these questions, if you're not honest with yourself, you will never, ever see the potential you have. So take this time and simmer it and summarize it, And I'm going to go through some of the questions, but be honest with yourself. What do you love to do in your free time? What would you do if money was no object? If money was no object, I would be traveling all the world. But guess what? I can. And we're going to talk about that in Budget Babes. What I'm saying is, I'm going to blow your mind when we talk about Budget Babe basics. I'm going to blow your mind of all the answers to these questions and how it can come true. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when you're patient, you believe in yourself, and you're organized, and you have a team of people, things come to flourish, and they will surprise the heck out of you that you're just like, oh gosh, so I thought this tragedy that just happened really was an open door for this. And then when you look back at your paper, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I wrote this down. I wanted this. So let's be honest. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of your business? First thing that comes to your mind. What could get you lost for hours doing? For me, it's sewing. I'm going to be honest, because when I was doing Favela Designs at the beginning, I sewed everything. And then after a while, I got a production house and I got a manufacturer, and it was like, hallelujah. It was beautiful because I was able to grow because of having a great manufacturer, not only having one, but two. And so it was a godsend. But there was a part of me that I just loved handling the fabric and putting it through the sewing machine, and just being one with the sewing machine. And it sounds crazy, but when I did Law Sewing Cafe, I had that opportunity, and I was doing it, and I was helping kids, and I would still, and it was so funny because the way I was teaching them, I'm like, oh my God, I learned this loopy whole ear, things my mom used to teach me, how to remember how to loop the ears of the whole whatever. and it felt good. And when you have balance, you can do that. And so now we will have a manufacturer that's going to help us for our small production, for our kids collection. But there are some things that I will still be able to do where I still feel a part of it, and I won't let go of that part because I want it to be unique. My whole point of it is that you have to be, all these elements in these questions, you have to make sure they're in your business at some way point. Even if you start and you can't do it, and then later on you can, it's possible. Let's keep continuing to simmer and summarize. What type of websites do you find yourself constantly visiting? What stands out on these websites? What is a common thread amongst them? This is important because I want you to understand what's capturing your attention. And remember, in your psychology of human behavior, your customer is not always you, but there's always a common denominator which connects you, okay? That's important. Write that down. The common denominator of there's one element of what you have, your customer has. So it's important that one common denominator, you understand what that is so that you can be able to do it in all aspects. What are some skills that come naturally to you? What are some things you love to invest in more time in learning? For me recently, this is why, I keep it real. For me recently is taking a writing class. And, I took it in school. I took grammar. I took all that stuff in college. But for me now, it was a little bit different because now as I start to add the series to my books for Dear God, Are We There Yet? I want to be able to constantly learn about the writing world and how to capture my reader and for them to capture what I'm saying. And besides the whole grammar thing, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to have an editor to help me, but it's really organizing my thoughts. It's really learning a different way of writing and not from what I'm used to. And so I recently did that. And it's amazing. And my first assignment, I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in school. And I didn't think there was anything of it. I'm like, this is my assignment. But then I did it. And I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, wow. So, you never stop learning. And even in business, constantly learning, constantly reading. If you could go back to school or take a class, what subject would it be? And then list 3 skills you would love to get paid to do on a regular basis. If you got to get paid for a regular basis, what would it be? With me, one thing I've always loved, and it's so funny because my best friend and I used to do this when we were younger. We used to actually go in the room and take a chalk, because it was chalk back in the day, and write on the wall. I don't know if you could write on the wall with the chalk. And we used to pretend we were teachers, and I would be a teacher and she would be a teacher, and it was hilarious because we would just be teaching her. We would just be reading and just doing our homework, but we would be teaching. And we would have our cup of coffee. Teachers used to walk around with their cup of coffee. We were 8 or 9. My whole point is that I always loved to teach. I've always loved to help people in a way where I can share my knowledge and experiences, but show them new ways. And it's so funny because it's one thing that I absolutely love to do is helping and teaching and, being a support. And I didn't know that until when I went to Magic years ago when I first started fashion as a business, and it started at Fashion Designer Business Academy. And I loved it, and I loved speaking, and I loved being able to give people these nuggets that I've learned the hard way that most people won't say because they want to sugarcoat it and make it look like it's so beautiful. And I'm like, it is not that cute. And so that is something that I want you to think about, all the different elements, even if it's styling, even if it's teaching someone how to draw, even if it's something showing them where to get things, if you're really good at investigating, if you're really good at inspiring, whatever the case is, I want you to go ahead and put it in. List 3 to 5 questions people are always asking you. For me, the number one thing I think a lot of my friends asking me, they're always asking me about budgets because they know that I love budgets. And so that's something big for me. They also ask me other things, but what are questions people are asking you? Simmer it and summarize it. By now you probably are screaming with ideas and you're probably excited to jump into your business, but I want to be able to kind of put this together in an audience. And I want you to put this together. And this is an example I wanted to put of as an exact person, the industry that they're in, their business idea, their specific audience, and their services. And this is why I want you to do this for yourself. This is how it's going to look afterwards. And next month when we do products and services, and you're going to be blown away because you're going to be like, I can do that as a business? Are you serious? And I'm going to show you the numbers and I'm going to say, yes, you can. So for example, this is a beauty professional, okay? Their business idea is teaching stylists how to move from behind the chair. So, it's he or she probably were a stylist themselves and they want to show other stylists how to do that. Now, there's a business in the whole stylist world because, they rent their chairs, right? Right? And how many beauty stylists probably they rent a chair in several places? It's kind of like Hop, or they go to people's homes. I mean, there's a lot going on right now that there's just not, you don't have to just be a beauty professional. And I'm giving you this rare because it's not fashion, it's completely different. The specific audience is burned out beauty professionals who want to make more money passively. So her idea is teaching them how to be outside of the, outside the chair. And her audience is people who have lots of experience that have done hair, makeup, whatever the case is, they're beauty professionals and they just want to make a passive income because they don't want to stand long hours and they want to actually create this. Put yourself in these shoes. The products that this person might have is a makeup line, their own makeup line that actually could help, or maybe it's a brushes lines, or maybe it's something like, easier to clean or whatever the case is. Books, certain books, maybe sometimes these can be photo books. And we're going to get into this in next month, but I just want you to see where we're going. And services to teach and empower and elite clients. So services could be, it could be a workshop, it could be one-on-one, it could be all types of things to working with those stylists. Now, I'm going to get into detail because there's a lot more products and services. I mean, they could be working with high-end, hotels and spas. They can get joint ventures with an airport club. I mean, there's a lot I can go on and on, but we're doing that next month because we got to get you organized but this is just to give you an example of where we're going with all this information. My business, simmer it and summarize it. I want you to write 5 scenarios right now. This is 5 scenarios. You're going to pause this after I speak, and you're going to 5 scenarios of what your business could be as well. So product, services, things that you can, things that you could, offer. And now that you have a clear vision after you write those 5, and let's talk a little bit more about who you want to help. Now, the CEO of Spanx says she says this loud and clear. And what makes you different is making sure your brand is authentically you. And the purpose of a business is to help someone somewhere solve a problem somehow. She's all about solving problems. She is all about helping someone somewhere doing something there's a purpose, there's a need for it. No matter what happens, people are going to need for it. And I like to use my business because this is exactly what I put in my business plan. People want to eat well. They want to feel healthy. People are getting a lot more healthier than there was 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. Organic eating or growing your foods or whatever, it's getting a lot more popular because people are seeing the benefits that your food changes everything, your diet changes everything. That's where we want to go with our spices. We don't want to compromise that. For herbal teas, we want teas, natural things that are really can help the elements of your body without having to take a prescription. It's so funny because our new collection right now, we're having a new tea. It's an energized tea. It's completely natural, but it really boosts you up. You really think you're like, taking one of those energy drinks or whatever, but it's all natural because it comes from the earth. People don't know that because they might not have access to it. And so that's something that we always want energy. We always want to sleep. We don't want to be sad. These are all needs. So it's important, even in our kids collection, we're making it transformational where, they can be 3 years old, but they can still wear that at 5 years old. I mean, moms go through it. They go through it. They're like, I have to buy clothes every single 6 months. For what? Transformational line for kids that it's going to be able for them to do that. And so the pieces. So you have to solve a problem. Is your business solving a problem? Is it constantly growing on opportunities that you can help people on and on and on? I'll give you an example. When I first started fashion as a business, I did sourcing for my own self. I used to call myself a sourcing queen because I used to really travel Peru. I used to travel all over, especially in Peru. I used to go a lot for fabrics and threads and buttons and just sourcing. I loved it. I love negotiating. I love to be one with a production company and like have a cup of coffee and sit there, or, have a beer with them and late night while they're doing something and just chat. I never really just gave orders and like, I have this client or I want to do that. No, I used to, go with the delivery guy and take the fabric from one area to the cutting shop that was like maybe 3 miles away. And we're just sitting there talking. And I love that. That was me. And so I said, I want to teach people how to do this where they can negotiate and they don't have to, even if they're buying it in the US, how to negotiate and how to not get taken advantage of, because I said in the previous videos that a lot of people in this industry get taken advantage of because they don't know. And so these are some things that I wanted to help someone, and I know that it would evolve. So I want you to think about solving the problem and making the profits. So you can't just be another clothing line, jewelry designer, stylist, artist, painter, realtor. Seriously, you just can't, because what's going to happen is that you're going to fall in between everyone, but you're so unique that you won't fall between that because there's no one like you. And your message has to be clear as to why customers need your products. So they will have no decision to come back to you. So this is where your ideal gal comes in. Who's your gal? Meaning, who's your ideal customer? If you've worked with me, you've heard this 100,000 times. Who's your girl? What does she do? Where does she go? How? And you can say who's your guy too, but I always say who's your gal. A lot of my clients, always say, you're always talking about who's your girl and what does she do and, how much does she make and what does she eat for? Is she a steak kind of girl? Is she a burger kind of girl? Is she Brussels sprouts kind of girl? Like, you have to know, because this is a representation of, people that will keep following you and be your cheerleader and keep promoting your business. So my ideal gal customer. So if you need to pause this video right now, go ahead and summarize it on the previous, and then you can come back and we can go ahead with my ideal gal customer. Okay, so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of who your customer is. And if that's okay, write it down. If it's a business, that's okay, write it down. So I like to say this because there's two aspects of your business that you have. So I'm going to give you kind of like a little sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of months. But your business model should be, and your business plan should have a business model for two aspects: business to consumer and business to business. And we are going to talk about this. I think it's in the next